The perils of benefactors, the blessings of parasites. Blindness in sight. We live in this dualistic world, right and wrong, good and bad, judges in black and white, when most of us have to exist in the gray, the in-between. I love this image. Take a good look at it. Right? And that is life. Because for a rocket ship to blast off into the heavens, it has to push down. For you to run, you have to push backwards. And both things are happening simultaneously. We are running away from something to get to somewhere else. But everything that we have done before propels us forward. Everything we have taken in become part of our gray matter. Speaking of living in the gray, right? Because our brain is making meaning out of everything. But in this world, we get to live into the paradox as awakened beings. And what does that mean for us? How do we exist in that? In the oldest written literature we have in the Bible, in Genesis 2, it says this, that God told Adam and Eve that they could eat from any of the fruit of the trees of the Garden of Eden. They were in heaven, but not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Not of good and evil itself, but the knowledge of good and evil. For surely, if you eat from that tree, you will die. And what happens? They eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they are expelled from the garden, and they know pain, and they know suffering, and they know shame. They hide from God, they hide from themselves, they put clothes on. All of a sudden, their bodies aren't beautiful anymore. And how many of us go through that process, that exact same process as babies? I cannot keep clothes on my 3-year-old. Right? He's walked down the street here naked. And it's San Francisco, so that's okay now. And at the same time, it is a wake-up call for me to see that somehow, I can't do that because I've got this extra amount of pounds, or I'm over this age, and I need to hide myself in the shame. We have all eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And it's time we woke up. In this same scripture, however convoluted this 3,000-year-old scripture is, right? It's pretty out there. I mean, after they eat from this tree, God descends to the Garden of Eden and is looking for an Adam and Eve and can't find them. Okay, that's some God. They're hiding behind a bush, right? Okay, so this is not factual, folks. All right, this is a metaphor for that they were feeling separate from God. Okay, this isn't a literal interpretation of God's activities, but Adam and Eve, you and I, feel somehow separated from the divine power, the divine energy, that what we call spirit, God, Jesus, whatever, Buddha. When we feel separate from that power, we see things as against us. We see things as dangerous. We feel the pain of the words other people speak. We feel the pain of isolation and loneliness. We feel the pain of our physical bodies. We're out of Eden. We're out of alignment. So our job here is to wake up and realize that we are still asleep. In that same scripture, it says that God puts Adam to sleep. Earlier in the scripture, it says Adam puts Adam to sleep to remove a rib. Whatever. There's some strange metaphor there, but I don't know that one, right? It's like, am I missing a rib? I certainly am missing a brain cell or two, but it never said that Adam woke up. Ow. Never says that Adam woke up. So we're all sleepwalking, and Eve and Adam are sleepwalking through this thing we call life, saying it's wrong, saying they're bad, saying that it's something I don't agree with. And Joni, in the wisdom of Joni Mitchell, caught it. It's like every picture has its shadow, and it has a source of light. You cannot see without the negative space. Without the darkness illuminates the light. These windows, which we think are so beautiful, right? You wouldn't see it if it was all light. It's got to have the dark recesses, or we don't see the patterns of life. It is the wholeness. So if we're eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we're living on one side of this duality. Whereas the whole encompassing thing can be huge. We're living way over here of wrong, I'm wrong, they're wrong. If I could only do this, then maybe. And we're drinking that poison over and over and over again. Paul Hasselbeck, who was just here while I was on vacation, talks about this divine paradox this way. The key to understanding the concept of paradox is learning to acknowledge and accept the apparent opposites as being two aspects of the complete idea. And he uses this in his book, Heart-Centered Metaphysics, to talk about it this way. It's like God is immanent, meaning God is right here in me. There's no part of me that can't connect to the infinite power of the divine. And God is transcendent. God is everywhere, in everything, every stone, every tree, every bird, everything in the universe. And both things exist at once. But in our human form, in this life, we only interact with one at a time. We know God personally when we need the divine intervention or when we're grateful. And then there are those moments of transcendence where we see the beauty of it all, where the scales fall from our eyes and the bliss is really revealed to us. We see that God is everywhere and everything. To remember that over and over. And then to know that God is law, principle, right? Meaning that there is only one. There is only the absolute. And at the same time, God is personal. As one of my friends quotes, and I love, sometimes I need a God with skin on it. Right? It is great that God is this spirit, idea, transcendence. But sometimes I need the comfort of God as mom, dad, a holy comforter. And that bliss of being able to experience and know them all. The symbol I have next to that quote, the yin and yang, is about that, about understanding the duality and the constant cycle. If we could only see the whole, if we could only see the shadows and light, the good and the bad, the right and wrong. In that Joni Mitchell song, it's really amazing. It starts with Devil of Delight, right? And how many of us have danced with the Devil of Delight? Woo! Those were some fun times here in San Francisco, right? And then we've had the dawn and the morning after. But it moves from the devil of cruelty and the devil of delight, right, to the God of cruelty and the God of delight, and also to man of cruelty. Man of cruelty. Man of cruelty. How often have we been that man and that man of delight? That woman and that man. All those three things are part of the same spectrum, folks. Devil, man, God, all one. Our first unity principle is that there is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in our lives, God. Period. So we're all of it. If we are in God, we are part of God. If we are part of this whole, we are the devil, we are the God, we are the man. All doing this dance, yin and yang, round in the circle, shadows and light. And when we can step back and see it, that diagnosis, the family member, the lost job, the death, can't throw us off center. For we know in the midst of that situation, no matter what it is, if we can see the wholeness, if we can see the love, if we can see the divine intention, the paradox reveals itself as the divine one, as the wholeness. St. Paul said in his letter to the Romans, "Be transformed by the renewal of your mind." Be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Meaning that every moment we get to erase this unconscious bias we have inside of us for how things are supposed to be. And this unconscious expectation that it's always going to go a certain way, whether that be good or bad. Well, you see, always happens to me this way, right? I never win the lotto, right? Like, I have won the lotto, folks. Yeah, not the one you play where you buy a ticket. I've won the lotto because I'm here. And with all of you, I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. I am a walking miracle because I'm alive today when I was told I wouldn't be alive 33 years ago, right? All of us are walking miracles. My mom, who's in an Alzheimer's home, right, in a memory care unit, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. I've got to say goodbye to her. I've got to say my intellectual goodbyes to her. Right? And now it's just the heart goodbyes. And I'm lucky. I'm blessed. However you want to say it. Mom is happy in her dementia. She's happy. She doesn't know where she is, and she likes where she is. What a great combination. To not know and to like it at the same time. Because it's all good, and all of our needs are being taken care of. Right now, right here. Do you have everything you need? You have a seat, you have comfort, you have air in your lungs. There's great food downstairs. I smelled it when I walked through. So you'll have food too. And for those of you at home, I know you have access to your food too, right? So right here and right now, I know that with you and for you, we can step back and see the divine paradox and the wholeness of it. Before we go to our meditation, I want to connect this to what we've been talking about with breaking the habit of being ourselves. This is the big habit, folks. This is the big habit where we refuse to see the whole picture and live on one end of the duality spectrum. Whether it's really bad, whatever is happening to us, what happened with our cars. My car is having this bizarre stuff going on right now, right? And I heard another story about someone's cars, and it's like, these are great stories, and we can all relate with them to each other, but it's not the wholeness of what's going on with me. It's not the wholeness of what's going on with any of us. And when we can pull out and break the habit of telling the woe is me story, when we take the habit of that memorized cerebellum part of our brain that says, here we go again, and then we have these instinctual memories and behaviors kick in, we can create a wonderful, joyous, fantastic life. We can create a new heaven right here on earth by letting go of everything we've done before, by letting go of our judgment of ourselves and others, letting go of the judgments of what this world appears as. Because the truth is, and here's the hard part, We created this world. You and I, our parents, our families, keep recreating this world exactly as it is. And until we change us, till we forgive ourselves and others, that's not going to shift. So let's do that work today.